Alright, so we got our upright here puttied out. Gonna get ready and get it tapped in. Got all my pieces cut already and got all prepped, so off we go. Start by wetting it out. By wetting it out, you can stick your fabric to the wall and it won't slip down while you're trying to wet it out. Come in with your brush, make sure your corner is all pressed in, nice and tight against your putty or your fillet. You'll notice down below, I cut the area that will be, this was a square piece before, I just cut that spot right there so it just kind of folds up over. Like that. Yeah, just going to work in the resin into the cloth. Sometimes you have to wait a minute and let it soak in. I just like to fold my cloth hamburger or hot dog style, get the corner in, and you can kind of just press your hand in there and press the corner. Keeps your piece somewhat straight where you want to go. Start rolling out some bubbles. some mat. I'm just going to run it down a little bit past the bottoms, and at the top I trim it to length, and instead of cutting it, I'll actually just tear it, because that gives it a smooth finished edge, because the random fibers just like kind of taper off that way, and you don't end up with like a hard edge like that. Alrighty, half hour to do that chunk. Uprights are always a little bit finicky. You gotta really watch your corners that they don't bubble out, and also your top edge here. In this case, it doesn't matter too much because we're gonna trim that side to be to level with our stringer here, and then over here is just get cleaned up because there's going to be a lid on it. But in a normal case, I would run the matting a little bit further up to kind of hold it in. Matting holds down 45, 45 and 090 really well. But you still gotta watch the corners because they'll try and annoy you sometimes. Like over on the outside here, you can see in that corner there, it actually bubbled out, which really annoys me. But this is one of those things, you turn your back for 1 second and it bubbles out, so keep an eye on it.
Dad's back here lining up the next slant for our aft hold stringer. You may not see it, but this piece right here actually has a slight upward slant on it, and that's just to give us clearance on that back shaft log. And also maybe the coupling, I actually kind of forget, but
yeah,
just
it had
to
to
give
be
us
taller in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only is there a 2-inch step up right there, but there's also maybe compared front to back is another 1 inch or something like that.
Yeah, if you saw the original one, it pretty much followed the slope of the hold, and it was like really pronounced like this.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable to stand
Sketchy.
on. Be very dangerous when it has ice on it, and slip. And so we were kind of trying to flatten it out a little bit, and I guess just kind of average in the sides here, so right here we'll just kind of blend this in. This will be a little bit lower here, but that's okay. There'll be a sump in this area, so that'll make up the difference there.
Yeah.
The side, I don't know if we'll put a sump in there or not, so.
That's the tough part. We're kind of still working out
Yeah.
the sumps back here and also the plumbing.
We might
too.
just run some conduit, some pipe through this bulkhead right here and run it under there and under the sump up there. So we're still kind of like figuring that one out, I guess. But we kind of just put a bump up on this one right here. We actually did need that, like Matt said, because the coupling is going to be about in here, and we needed clearance for the coupling. Before the coupling was, well, would be right here. It wouldn't be right here, it'd be right here. But they had to carve the bottom of the shaft alley cover had to be carved up to accommodate the major diameter of the coupling, and so we're trying to avoid that because you lose strength in your cover, and also that's insulating value there too. It's going to be about 2 inches thick, so that's R10. You lose half of it, you get R5. So not a major deal for a small area like that, but still, just trying to keep it simple. And the biggest thing was, why not level this out a little bit and make it safer to stand on. So you can see that this is going to be, this one's a little bit high right now, this aluminum. So it'll be a touch lower. It'll end up a little bit higher than the side here, but we'll be able to blend it. It's not that big of a deal. Eventually this will all be torn out, and then we'll ferret in right at that time. And most likely what we'll do is just end up leaving a little proud of where it needs to be, a little bit tall, and then we'll mark off of this, and we'll mark it, and we'll just do the same thing we plan on doing down there. We'll just rip it with the saw, clamp this on there as a fence and rip it. And we'll have a couple of bearing blocks tying in the middle, which is going to give it support, you know, keep the sides from bowing or one way or another. And then also that bulkhead. So this thing's going to be like a rock when we're done with it. And that's what we want. We want it to be able to carry all the weight in this fish hold.
A lot of strength transfer too. Just like everything combined like that, spreads it out.
Yeah, it ties it all together, spreads it all out. Essentially, there's not going to be much to support it over the middle. And then we'll put a couple of straps going across too underneath the cover. That'll get glassed into the bottom of the cover. We're going to overbuild, because when we do that, we never have to go back and readdress it. Overbuilding, for this type of thing, you're talking about weight-wise, it's not even a factor. If we put an extra 200 pounds of weight into this build and laminate and fiberglass resin, it's not going to make any difference at the end of the day. So it's better to overbuild and spend a little money on it and not have to come back and revisit it.
Right.
Because when stuff breaks on commercial fishing vessels, it breaks bad. People can get hurt, you lose downtime, or you lose fishing time, you have downtime. So it just makes sense to not cheap out.
And never have to worry about it too, just that peace of mind.
Yeah.
We've never had to worry about anything on the fishtail just because what we've done to it.
Yeah, and it's not really, I don't want to say it's overbuilt, but it's well built. You know, things like gussets and doubler plates and things like that, those all make a big difference in the longevity of your equipment. It doesn't cost a lot of extra money to do it, so.
It's definitely worth it.
Yep.
I'm hyped to get this last chunk in.
Yeah.
We'll probably do laminate here in an hour or so and get that in the works, huh? Have it ready for tomorrow.
We don't have enough material there. Even as it is, those pieces are kind of like, I'm having a hard time visualizing how to get this material out of them.
Yeah, might just have to.
I know that
use it
it's
straight
there,
out
but it's just like without good accurate measurements. I'm just kind of like,
approximating.
yeah, I feel like it's kind of running around in a loop up there. So this will help me out, and
Yeah.
probably just make this, I don't know, a 1/2 inch tall or something. I got my first piece of what'll be the aft fish hold shaft alley stringer. You can say that fast. Got that cut, turned out good. I just kind of have it clamped to that piece of angle, just to kind of get it situated and checked. Trimmed it a little bit. It's about a 1/4 inch high, so right now it's good. I'm not gonna really fiddle with the bottom of it anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, it looks good.
I
Pretty
suppose I
tight.
could trim it a little bit, but that's close enough. And then I was just getting the rest of this laid out here, so I got a couple of measurements here. What I basically did was I just, there's no good way to transfer this height across. I don't have a laser level or anything. So we had already trimmed this nice and straight before we installed it, and it's good. We're not gonna mess with it any. So we're just using it as our reference for this side, and I basically just clamped a little piece of, well, just a ruler across this, right at 5 inches. So I know that it's 5 inches from here to here. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using this top edge as a guide, and I'm squaring it off the face here. So I can just set this like that and rest it. I just measured down here, and we're at we're 3/16 high yet. And so I just took that 3/16, I added it to the difference between the edge of my skill saw and the blade, and transferred marks down here. So I got this marked out now. And we can take this fence, well, we're going to use this piece of aluminum as a fence, and we're going to clamp it down here, aligning it to these marks that I have going down the edge of it, and then we're going to take the skill saw and rip down it, and we should have the proper height. It'll clean this edge up real nice, just like this one, and it should be the same when I'm done. So these are cowboy clamps, at least what we call cowboy clamps. Made by Vice Grip, no affiliation, not a sponsor or anything. It's a good brand. They got a nice deep throat on here, so you can reach down pretty far, clamp something in place. So that's what we'll be using here. Put one on the end, we'll put one in the middle, and then we'll have a regular clamp down here on the other end. We'll just start ripping across this, and then when we get to the middle, we'll just pause for a minute. We'll unclamp our middle clamp, and we'll flip it to the other side where we cut already, and then we can continue on. And that'll get us right down to the very end, and then I'll just have to clean it up with the grinder and a cutting disc. I can't quite get my saw to the very end. So as you can see, you can go down pretty far with these, so it's going to be just right, I think. And yeah, so I just use a little hunk of plywood to put in here. This leg isn't quite long enough to reach over the top of this aluminum, so it could go against this, but it might tend to cock it a little bit and might not be the best. It looks like our marks are right on as we go down. Yeah, looks good. This is kind of midway, so I think I'm going to go about right here. Reposition that other one. I'll have to go rustle up a piece of plywood for it, I guess. So these are nice because you can really get a lot of clamping force with them. And now I see that they've put an indentation in the end of these for Allen head socket if you want, if anybody's ever used vice grips before and put a really heavy load on them, you know that when you hit that it can give you a pretty good snap in the hand sometimes. I usually just hit it with a hammer or something because it kind of hurts. Alright, that looks good. It's not going to go anywhere, I don't think. Okay. Ooh. So once again, not super critical, but I mean, it is kind of nice if things come out fairly similar side to side. Let's do our best here. Make everything straight. Ah, yeah, that's tight.
I'm looking on the other side for a seam. It's not going to be a seam there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, am I right on? Oh, I am right on top of the seam. Alright. Okay, how do we look? That one's good. Down there must be alright too. Well, that should have like come down and fell on it, so.
It's down the hair still, actually.
Okay. And we should just be taking the hair off of this right here. That does look about right. Alright. Oh my God. Like a snowstorm,
Yeah.
I was waiting for that thing to drop, but the fence is on the other side. A little bit of tear out, but this is all going to get tapped out. Really just the top layer that's tearing out, so not really concerned about it. Whenever you're cutting like this and stop, don't start right up tight against it, you'll bind up your saw. If it's a little one like this, it'll stop it. If it's like a heavy duty corded one like a worm drive, it'll kick back. So I always make sure that the blade slides before I start again.
There's just like basically half that thickness left over that gets cut with a grinder. Maybe even a little less, huh, Dad?
Yeah, in some spots I think it actually almost cuts through it. In others it doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, it has to be tilted up. Unless you come at it from this side.
Yeah, I'll just hold it up against the top of it. You want to squeeze this right here for me? Stiff down.
Hand clamp.
Mm-hmm.
Hand clamp.
There we go. There you go.
All right, everyone, back here on the job. The job site. Back on the job site. Hey.
That's right.
I just finished cutting up a bunch of fiberglass, prepping for our next layup here. Those pieces are for this chunk of foam here, which is going on the forward side of the shaft alley against the forward bulkhead. So those pieces all are going to get laminated onto that. And then all these are the tabbing chunks for our next chunk of stringer. And those pieces are just to level out the forward bulkhead where we've already applied some fiberglass to seal it off and stuff. So that's all to level it out. Alright, so we're getting ready to glue this poured chunk of foam in. Got the front bulkhead all flattened out, more or less. Gonna close any extra gaps with a layer of putty. It'll be fine. I'll just hold it.
Come up with it? Yeah, let her be a little high. That looks pretty good, huh?
Good glass, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Some thick glass.
This one's gonna be good and strong. Looks good, huh?
Yep.
As good as we can get. Oops. Did something weird. And just come in with a few.
Yeah, it's like
Take into account your little bit of tabbing there still too. Perfect.
a little bit. So just like tab it in.
Tab it in.
All right. She says tab it in, I tab it in. Alrighty, that's in. Looks good. We'll let that set up. And we can move on to filling the corners and tabbing it in.
All right, come over here, check on Dad. See what he's doing.
Just fixing to cut into this nice, beautiful panel. Got a bunch of marks every 2 inches and just joining them together here. It's not a real super duper precise on this. So,
Yeah.
how's that look? That looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think it looks good, Dad. I didn't do fillets. Screws in the way anyway, so not like I could tab out.
Tab it.
Yep.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's warm enough, and here it shouldn't take too long for that stuff to set up. I don't suppose. Maybe put some heat down there by it.
Mm-hmm. Direct those hoses at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm all ready to go here. I'll go ahead and just rip this thing, and that's that for this one.
Looks good.
Yeah. All right, the inspector's here, so we're gonna do a little test fit here and see if it passes muster. We've been waiting for this for a while.
You've been waiting to put this piece in for a while?
We've been waiting to get to this stage for a while.
All right, here goes.
This may or may not fit very well. How's it look?
Looks wonderful.
Looks good.
I see no overhang.
How's the look, Mom?
Looks great, guys. You worked so hard for this.
Oh my gosh, look at that. A shaft alley cover back in place again.
And one that doesn't weigh 100 pounds.
Man, that's true. Yeah, that piece that big literally weighed 100 pounds, I bet. Had to chunk them up. Well, that's the beginning of it. That's what it's going to look like. And then, of course, big gaping holes on the side will become sumps. Not all the way down to the hull, about 8 or 9 inches deep,
Yep.
something like that. And that'll leave space underneath to run some plumbing to the what will become the back hold. Yeah, how exciting.
Yeah, that looks good.
Well, we're moving forward.
Yeah. Good, good.
You gonna stand on it yet or wait? No.
Stand on it. It'll break it.
Will it?
Nah, this is pretty rigid. It'll bend though.
I gotcha.
Not much flex to it though.
They're pretty strong
Exciting,
though.
you guys.
If it snaps in half, I'm gonna be quite embarrassed. So a little bit of flex, but this piece will be upside down, a piece laminated over the top, down the sides, then another layer on top of that, laminated down the sides, and it'll be just as rigid as these boards when we're done.
Yeah, we'll also have cross braces going over.
Yeah, there will be
Between the
some cross
stringers.
supports going across probably every couple feet.
Yep.
Just because if we overbuild it, then we don't have to worry about it failing later.
Yeah. Well, that looks good. That looks really good.
Yeah, that does. That looks nice. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Looks like my timing was just right.
Mom approves.
Yep, I do. You guys have been so hard at it. Very proud of these guys.
It's nice just to have these stringers to even step on again.
Yeah.
It saves like 2 steps every time.
And then also having a spot for your ladder to wedge up against.
So sick of this ladder. It hates us.
Almost too short.
It ripped our hose earlier.
Oh no.
It's a terrible thing.
Your heat
The-
hose?
The
Yeah.
angles on the bottom, everything snags on them. Your hose, your cord.
What if you flipped it over the other way?
Then
The rungs would be
the rungs are
uncomfortable.
Oh.
the wrong angle, and then it's very uncomfortable.
Don't we have
Well,
a-
before long, it'll be resting on a shaft alley cover,
Yeah, that's true.
and yeah, it'll be better. Yeah, woo! That makes me happy to see that. Yeah. So really, we can kind of start
Can we
up
go
there
check
now on the cover itself. We'll start with like a short piece up against that bulkhead, probably about 1 foot long, something like that, to come out, and then we can tab it in, and then this one can go up against it, and that'll just kind of give us our starting point. We'll need to have some overlap on the 2 layers anyways, so we're not just butting seams right up on top of each other. All right, well, guess it's lunchtime and come back and attack again later. I got 1 piece to cut for this back stringer.
Yep.
Get
Get
it
our
laminated together tonight and final fit and glue in.
good to see Mom,
Yeah.
our lead editor.
Look at how
I
she
can't
stays so
talk.
clean. I can't come
Yeah, I
down
know.
here.
Usually you
and
just
not
like
touch
step
anything.
in and you get a bunch of white powder on you.
It's amazing.
That's why I'm never down here, guys. I miss seeing everybody, including you guys.
Yeah, this is a very fun project for moms.
It's dirty. It's hard work too.
Plus she gets annoyed when I walk across the hatch covers like that.
Yes, always taking his chances balancing.
It's kind of hurt to fall into this one right now. There's not very good landing places at the moment. Yeah, so we just got our last little piece for the stringer marked out here. And a nice wiggly line, as you can see. That's pretty much how they all end. Give that a cut and just a little bit of fitting, I think, and glue those all together.
Yep, bevel your edges for the seams and yep.
And that shouldn't take too long. That went pretty quick last time. Pretty small piece. So yeah,
Good.
still have some lunch, I guess.
Yeah.
Something.
We'll bring you guys back later.
See you guys later.
Bye, Mom.
Bye.